All right, everyone. Thanks. Welcome to the Augur 8 Knot meeting for June 23rd, 2025. I've shared the meeting minutes that I'm currently showing on my screen. Also in the chat, you can add your name or not. It's entirely up to you. And maybe it would be good to get started today, as Callie suggested a minute ago, with just a short round of introductions. I'm Sean Goggins, one of the Augur maintainers. And joining us here today are a few reasonably new faces from Google Summer of Code. Maybe I'll let Jahong and Akshat introduce themselves, and then everyone else can take a turn. I see
I just
Ashish
want
is here as
to
well. Oh, go ahead, Callie.
yeah, if you know what you're working on Augur, or like you're not just who you are, but like your association, like what you're gonna be working on the project would be super helpful.
Okay, I will take the first one. So I'm Jahni. I'm currently working on like enhanced topic modeling in CHAOSS in August here. This is my part. And if anyone have any problem, any information, want to talk, please feel free to contact me.
Thank you. Glad to see you here, Jahong. Is that kind of what you were thinking, Callie, or do you?
Yes, exactly.
And Akshat, why don't you go next?
Yeah. So I'm Akshat Baranwal, and currently I'm working on contribution metrics, in which we're basically defining contributors in three categories and creating visualization from that.
And Ashish, who I know, why don't you introduce yourself?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Ashish. I will be working with Akshat on the contribution metric that will tell us what part of how many people are at a particular level in the contribution scale. We have defined D0, D1, and D2.
Excellent. So the work that Jahong is doing arises from the richness of some of the text data that we gather and wanting to sort of map topics that are happening in discussion across all the Augur data in a particular instance. And then Akshat and Ashish are working on actually manifesting some of the advanced contributor pipeline metrics that were initially developed by Yahui and his group conceptually back a few years ago. Callie, I see your hand is up.
Yes, and this is going to diverge a little bit from introductions. For the second project, at the very least, y'all should check out the data science working group. I think it'd be great to present y'all's work on a bi-weekly basis there and get feedback. But more specifically, a man named Josh Burkus and I have been working on this thing called the contributor pyramid, which I think is pretty much same thing, different font. Very similar ideas. And I think it would be good to collaborate. Josh is somebody who can give pretty fantastic feedback. He can come off a little harsh. He is a very kind person. It's just how he talks. But I think it would be great to see some more collaboration there. I think everyone could benefit from that.
Yeah, I just would echo that Josh is really a tremendous person and also extraordinarily knowledgeable about all of the things upon which Augur relies, like PostgreSQL, Docker, infrastructure. So yeah, Josh is, and he's particularly, in fact, on a research paper I'm working on, Josh has an issue that I'll try to share that he responded to. I think it was on Kubernetes, explaining how you can't just classify projects and all the reasons that projects are not entirely similar enough to do just easily bucketed classification. So yeah, Josh is fantastic. I would echo that.
Yeah, he gets the data engineering side, he gets the community side, and he understands the community data analysis side, and there's very few people who have that true intersection.
They really are.
Well, since I'm talking, I'll introduce myself. Hi, I'm Kelly Dolphy. I am a senior data scientist in Red Hat's open source program office. I am the original creator of Project Aspen 8 Knot. I lead the data science team at Red Hat. You'll see me popping around just about everywhere. I like to jokingly refer myself as the Augur super user. I'm the
No
person that's
joke.
going to be the stress tester and the person that finds most of the issues. I have now become a person who also somewhat solves some of the issues, but usually go down the rabbit hole of figuring out where a lot of these more niche bugs are, what's the problem, how to fix it. I'm rarely the one that is actually fixing those things. Sometimes I am, but especially I can probably be good to I can pass it off to Adrian from here. A lot of that responsibility will probably become a lot more Adrian, who's just joined my team. This is his first day today at Red Hat as a full-time employee, so that's really exciting. But yep, I'm 8 Knot Augur. I've been working with for a very long time. The two other people on my team, Kaio and Adrian, will come to be the larger points of contact for Kaio will be 8 Knot, Adrian will be Augur. But I will still be probably doing a lot of the same things I am now, but the responsibility is a little bit more distributed.
I can go next
Thanks,
after
Callie.
Cal.
Yes, go for it.
So I'm a software engineer here at Red Hat as well, working in OSPO. Like Kali said, working on her team. Mainly, we've been working by ourselves now, and now we'll be working with Adrian as well. Like surely a very good addition to the team. And I mainly work on 8 Knot, so pretty much dealing with the improvements, bugs, and learning and working on the architecture and re-architecture of 8 Knot as well, and maintain of 8 Knot as well. So that's pretty much what we've been doing so far. That's it.
Thank you.
I'll
And
pass
how do
it
I say your name, Kyle?
It's like Kyle.
Kaio. Thank you. It's like I wasn't sure, so thank you, Kaio.
No worries. I'll pass that along to Adrian then.
Hi, I'm Adrian. As Callie mentioned, this is basically my first day at Red Hat on the team, so happy to be here. Basically just been setting up my laptop all day, so things are breaking on and off, but hopefully we'll be set up in the next few hours, and then yeah, I'm hopefully gonna be working on Augur. Yep, that's the name.
We're looking forward to that, Adrian. You thankfully don't work at a university. It takes at least a month to get your laptop working there when you're new, because you have permissions to do nothing by default. Great to have you here, Adrian. Welcome. And I think that leaves the two Johns. I think I have a limited view.
That it does. That it does. Hi, everyone. I guess I will go first. My name is John. I am one of the core maintainers for Augur, and I mostly work on future feature development and taking needs and feedback and look at how best to implement the requested features.
Thanks, John. Good to see you here.
All right, I guess that leaves me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm the other John. And I work at Red Hat in the emerging tech group, engineer there, and I've been kind of helping out over the last couple months on sort of more infrastructure related aspects of Aspen. Or sorry, Augur.
Augur. Well, thank you. We appreciate the work that you've done, John, and good to see everybody here. And John, I'm just gonna so the next thing on here is a PR, and just to give everyone else a little bit of context, John did a PR that fixed a lot of build issues with Augur, and then I think I didn't completely understand the nature of what John had implemented, and I think I broke some things. And John, this might not be we might need a separate meeting to go through this, but I thought I would at least introduce to the group that even though I'm a maintainer of Augur and understand it, I actually think I failed to adequately comprehend all of the changes that you implemented. And I made some things that I did some things that fixed it on OS X that then broke it on Ubuntu. And I think in a discussion that we had, it seems like I really messed up. So I misunderstood some core piece of what was in here. And I don't know, maybe this is a separate meeting, but I wanted to bring it up here because I think it's just important for everyone that's participating to know that no matter how much you know or think you know about Augur and metrics and 8-knot, you could still screw stuff up. So that'd be me. And so, John, I don't know, what do you think? Is there a brief way to sort of characterize the piece that I perhaps missed, or that like it was with the UV stuff, it was supposed to work a certain way and I messed it up?
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, probably like working through it on this call may not be the best
Thing.
use of
Okay.
everybody's time, but yeah, just kind of the high level was that this so there was the conversion over to using UV for packages, and read the docs does not use UV, and so it expects to be able to just like pip install its dependencies given a requirements file. And so what that required in the read the docs config was basically a setup step that uses UV to generate a temporary requirements file. And then, pass that to read the docs to let it get the documentation dependencies in. And the way that was set up, it also, because UV allows you to install just subsets of packages and things like that. There's a dependency block in the Pi project file that is specifically for docs. And so it's basically like the minimal set of packages required. So, like Augur requires just an absolute ton of dependencies and stuff, right? And that can take a while to download and get that stuff installed. But the way it's set up now in the Pi project, it only installs the handful of dependencies, and so you can do a documentation build pretty quickly.
Yeah, I'm looking for that.
Yeah, so if you let's see, it may not be in this PR.
Oh, okay.
I think it's probably because it would be in the UV PR.
Okay.
Because because the docs get built as a part of the build process. So I would have like fixed that stuff.
All right.
As part of that.
So yeah, there's probably a couple PRs that under separate meeting cover. I could use a little bit of your time, John, just to sort of unpack what I messed up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I think I may have done a multi-layered merge mess up. So so just so everyone knows, like what we do when we merge PRs is we'll merge it into usually the dev branch, and then we'll test it in Docker, we'll test it on Ubuntu, and we'll test it on OS X, and then we'll also make sure read the docs and all the automated stuff works. And so I went through and fixed some things that broke a bunch of things, and so that's what I have to get with John to unmess up.
Yeah, I mean, I just like sort of along this lines, it may, and feel free to tell me, hell no, but it may be worthwhile to, I guess, revisit, I'll say branch management, for the project. Because, I know there's this, current, like, everything should kind of be directed at dev, and then it periodically goes over to main, and then releases come off of main. But there seems to be this thing that happens where things get merged from dev to main and from main to dev. And I think that kind of makes it hard to not lose things and probably generates more conflicts than necessary. And so I guess like sort of food for thought
I
might
think it's a good
be.
suggestion. I don't think we need food for thought. I think these are very sound suggestions because I think I am the person that screws that up more than any other individual.
I guess it is a food for thought in the perspective, like a lot of times those merges to mains are because of errors that I pick up on that need to be addressed in a quicker manner than a like merge to dev from dev. Like usually those are major changes. Usually the things that I'm picking up on are breaking bugs. Sometimes it can make it to where Augur does where there's things that Augur or it doesn't run or yeah, usually pretty major bugs. And so I think the food for thought is how do we I agree with John that I don't think that how it's going right now is necessarily the best, but how do we what is the solution to handling the fact that there are usually production breaking bugs that come up or things that I find in my deep dives that isn't feature related that usually comes from dev, but bug fixes.
And that
I,
you do hit it. You hit the issue correctly, Callie. That's exactly what happens most of the time. Though I think I've messed it up a couple different ways. John, I think I saw your hand come up.
Yes, my hand is up currently. So the actual model that we use isn't really sort of like dev is a feature branch and main is a bug fix branch, because we do sort of have a tendency to basically put fixes willy-nilly. Like whether or not someone's going to take a branch off main or take a branch off dev is really sort of random almost project wide, because we have so many people from so many different domains working on the same project.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's random, but I hear what you're saying. Like
Yeah,
I think it's
do
people understand a hot fix as compared to a feature pipeline?
Yeah. So in the
And
ideal world, we would have a completely separate feature branch that is dedicated to just new features for implementation. And then we would have a dedicated hotfix branch, which is just taking the existing feature release and making sure that it's current security, up to date, and has all the bug fixes. And then the reverse merge, where we take the hot fixes into dev, does need to be done carefully. But I think that there are a couple different models maybe that would be better suited, and I think that it would definitely be worth it to look into them. But I think that maybe just for right now, even just a very short-term fix would be trying to have a much more consistent way of splitting branches off, or having some sort of guidelines for new contributors who maybe don't know where's the best place to take a branch from, or maybe having some sort of conversation, which branch should this go into first, something like that.
And with that thought, I would, John, I don't know if there's a way that you could sort of describe approaches that you have seen be more successful and less problematic than the strategy that if it can be described as a strategy, the way that we're doing it now, because you have, and I hate to put you on, I'm going to put you on the spot here, and you can decline to be put on the spot, but you have experience working across stabilization of infrastructure and core technology for multiple different open source projects, more experience than I have. And I would welcome any thoughts that you might want to share right now about maybe a more optimal branching strategy or use of branch strategies.
Yeah, so I guess I'll share how I've seen most projects do it. And particularly like this is how the pretty much all the Red Hat projects work, where you've got whatever the default branch is for the repo.
Yep.
You
Main
know,
in our case.
main typically. That's where all of the commits go first. Like it doesn't matter what it is, feature, bug fix, everything goes to main. And there is a set of release branches. I don't know that Augur needs a set of release branches because, you know, so we typically have a bunch of release branches because we have a bunch of releases that are currently under support, right? And so there's a
Yeah.
branch for every one of those.
I see.
And
So like
then,
the long-term support windows,
right, right.
Yep. Okay.
Whereas like, you know, Augur's really only got one release that's out at any given point in time, right? So, you know, maybe you could have like main and maybe a branch called release, right? That the tags get pulled off of.
Yeah.
And then so if it's a feature, it just goes into main and that's that, right? And then the next release gets pulled off of main. So you would basically take the release branch and update it from the head of main whenever you're ready to cut a new release. And then there is things like bug fixes for, you know, a release that's out there right now. And those all go into main first. And the reason for that is it prevents regressions, right? Because if you take a bug fix and just put it into the release branch, there's a chance that it doesn't end up back in the main line. And so how we typically do it is everything goes into main first, and then there is a cherry pick of that commit from main into whatever the appropriate release branches are. And so those then, you know, that's how the bug fix then gets rolled out, right? So you can then pull a new tag off of the release branch.
I see.
And so that way merges only go in one direction, right? They only ever go from main toward release, and you don't ever go backward. And so there's not this like it got changed in both places, you know, how do I deal with it? You do sometimes have cases where you know, some code changed in main since the release, and there was a bug in, you know, the version that got released. And so not all of the bug fixes are as simple as just commit to main and then pull the exact commit over to release, but most of them are.
So I have a question about this is probably a little. Oh, Callie, I see your hand is up. Before I ask my question, I will defer to Callie.
Yeah, I was just saying that I think this is I understand why this system works for like larger, more mature projects that have a lot of like I think this might be something that's like aspirational as somebody who like manages a production Augur instance. This style like stresses like the thought of this right now is pretty like stressful.
I
Yeah.
think it doesn't need to be because I think it actually will lead to greater stability because where we have and John's right there. I think intuitively you may not be able to point to the specific examples, but I know over the course of the last year specifically, I know that I have erased fixes to main doing this back and forth thing and I've gone back and fixed the broken thing that I broke in the fix. But I think this idea, the conceptual idea of just everything's flowing in one direction does fix the introduction of issues that we have, that I have, you know, we've created. So I think this might be more stable, Callie, if I'm understanding correctly the way that it works. Effectively, I think we would, in our case, I think we would have one release branch and a main branch. And so if everything flows first through main and then into release, at some point, John, do you like then refresh the release branches or are they just kind of, I think the piece that I'm not quite sure is how do you cherry pick? That was my earlier question. Like, I mean, I know what cherry picking is. I know how to do it and get clients. I've also had varied success executing cherry picks with the kind of stability that I think we'd want for something like this, and it's probably just so I guess how do you do cherry picks? Because just kind of knowing the tools or the strategy specifically will probably help us be more successful employing that.
Yeah, so for most of our repos, we actually have a bot that responds to slash commands in GitHub. And so you can actually say, you can go to a PR that is either like pending merge or has already merged, and you just say like, slash cherry pick and then the branch name, and the bot will go and take all of the commits from that PR and open a new PR against whatever branch you targeted. And it's even smart enough to say, if that command is given to a PR that has not yet merged into main, it will not open the secondary PR until that first one merges, right? So that you get that that sort of invariant of it always goes to main first. There's probably ways. I think like Mergify, for example, you can probably set up something similar. If you wanted to go that route, or you could just do the cherry picks manually. It's a bit more tedious, right? In that you have to like get you probably have to get the commit IDs from a given PR.
Is the bot that you use something that is highly specialized to the Red Hat specific way of managing this sort of thing, or is it something that is general enough that we could look at the bot and possibly apply it here?
It is a derivative of the Kubernetes bots. So I think we've customized it. But it's also very tied to our infrastructure. So, I don't think that it wouldn't be as easy as going to like, GitHub and turning on an app, right? It's something that's controlled out of an OpenShift release repo.
So it's something we could learn from, but probably not lift and deploy.
Right. Yeah, I think that it would, like in terms of something that you could deploy, I think probably looking at like Mergify would be probably the route to go there. But the other part of this is, having a good set of tests on the PRs. And, I know that's very much a work in progress, but, that really goes a long way to, maintaining stability of the branches and things like that.
Okay. I mean, I think asking John McGinnis now and Adrian, I'm not going to point to you because it's your first day at Red Hat, but I think maybe something that we could try to do between now and the next meeting would be to try to come up with a proposal for a first step in this direction that might work, and we can start that discussion or continue that discussion possibly in Slack. And I'm wondering if, because in order to go back and fix this particular specific instance, John, I wanted to set up a time that you and I could talk, but I'm wondering if maybe it also makes sense to include John McGinnis and Adrian in that discussion so that people other than you and me understand. I don't know. What do people think?
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, sounds good. I'm pretty much looking for stuff to do once I'm all set up, like probably starting tomorrow or so.
John, does that work for you?
Yeah, I am free to meet pretty much anytime.
I think it would. I'll throw something in Slack. I'm thinking Wednesday, sometime, because there's like a lull in the open source summit world before CHAOSScon where I could participate. So I'll send a Slack message to that effect. Thanks everyone on that. The next thing I see on the agenda, Kelly, I think you added this, or I'm guessing, but maybe not. 8.0 updates from the Red Hat interns.
Yes, I just wanted to, and I'm probably gonna try to push them to come to this as well. Just wanted to give a little bit of update that there's 2 interns over in emerging tech that are working on things 8.0 Augur related. One of them is working on a chat bot to recommend 8.0 visualization. So you say, what is the PR activity, and it shows you the 5 visualizations that have to do with PRs, for example. So this is actually
So
something
is
that
this
Don
like
Foster,
8.0 GPT?
pretty much. We'll see how it goes. But this is something that like Don Foster for a while has been asking for, and kind of just organically came out of. There's a lot of visualizations. I think it's really overwhelming for people. And so trying to see if we can get a bot to help recommend and take that sea of visualizations and narrow it down to a couple for people can look at for their specific use cases. And then another intern's actually working more directly with the Augur database to say how many contributors are in project X, be able to answer questions like that. So they're both working on stuff. They're doing great. Hoping for them to give updates. I've actually been pointing them mainly to the data science working group, but they should definitely, at least at some point, we'll end up doing a presentation probably in here of what their work is. Yeah, that's just kind of.
That's awesome. That's really great. And I want to come back to, you just mentioned it again, for the GSOC students. The data science working group is, I think, a really great place, as Callie suggested, for you to learn more about the things that are happening, not only with Augur, but and 8.0, but also just the general CHAOSS project. And I think there is now, especially when it comes to making sense of and visualizing the data and providing information back to projects from the data, I think the data science working group is doing some really, really good work. And I'd echo Callie's recommendation of that group. Does that group meet the same week as this group? This group meets on alternating weeks for this group at a different time, right, Callie?
Let me check. I don't
Because they met,
remember.
I'm pretty sure I met with them last week.
No, data science is on the opposite.
It is, yeah.
So yeah,
Last week.
it just, and so we'll meet next week. I'd say it's good to look at, but I would also even say even more so, it's a great place to get feedback. You're going to have people who are very experienced at analyzing open source communities, have done it in a lot of different angles on a lot of different platforms, a lot of different data. And so presenting there early and often, I think, is going to be, it will only help you. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm trying to push our interns as well to share their work in there, because you're going to get a lot of great feedback from the conceptual side of people who have a lot of experience on this.
Yeah, and I think what I like, yeah, what's great about those discussions is that, like you said, Kelly, everyone participating has a general idea of the data required and how to get it in order to present some insight. However, I think it's that design piece, the sort of deciding, for example, what visualization or what data to use, and understanding the limitations or trade-offs with different choices analytically. You get really great feedback, I think, at a conceptual, logical level from that group that can be very helpful for actually building something people will use. All right, so next thing, okay, handling deleted repos. The update is that we haven't addressed that issue yet, but it remains something that we're working on. We were working in that direction, and I think I got to clean up a little pull request action, which we'll do this week. Oh, and I think the intern update got put in twice. Oops. Anyway, so yeah, I think the questions about repo deps is from last time. I don't think I have anything new on that. Does anyone have anything new on that? And then this issue. This remains something that I need to investigate, Kelly. Like I've said before, I think
Yes.
I'm pretty sure it doesn't work at this time, but the logic is there inside the commit counting system facade. So I think
Yeah,
it
it'll
just
probably be something that
fixed.
will, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if this is something that Adrian ends up working on as well.
Okay.
I'm gonna put in another issue. I don't know if there's really that much to talk about. I don't know why the formatting is not happy with me. This is how the first one got. Um, but
Formatting.
talking about the issue with URLs. Is the next one that I was like, it might even just be worth. I have lots of issues open. I don't. We can, but I don't know how much are some of them I think are worth talking about, and some of them I think we've gotten to the point of understanding.
Mhm.
This one I would say the last time we had a meeting, it was like, I'm pretty sure this is still happening, but let me confirm, and I can confirm with a decent amount of certainty that this is, or like almost complete certainty that this is still happening. Where there are repositories that they're like, I think that it's supposed to be updating the Git URL to the new URL, and that we're not seeing that on our instance.
Yeah, no, it's yeah, you and I discussed that last week. So Augur does have a component that once it detects that a URL has, or a repository URL has moved, which effectively happens when the repository changes organization name changes, or repository name changes. And so that's when the repository URLs get changed. And Augur has got a feature where it goes and updates that. However, it seems that that feature is not getting executed when we expect it to in all cases. So we need to go back and look at what's happening there and make sure that it's working the way we expect it to. Did I summarize that adequately, Kelly?
Yes. Do we want to talk about the pull request thing here, or is that going to be too in the weeds? We can honestly just open up the issue, like all the issues, and we can kind of go one by one. I like a lot of the ones that are like case by case. I don't know which ones are like useful to go
Like
through
you may,
as a group, or the ones that are more like niche. Just for context for everyone, is that I pretty much anytime there's a new release or a major round of collection on on the instance that I run for Red Hat, I do a pretty deep dive in the errors that are in Flower, and then open a issue for each of the grouped issues. And so I have kind
yep,
of a new round. I'd say at this point, any of the issues that are opened up by me, I have gone through and updated to the most recent. This is based off of the most recent release. If they're
yep,
still open, we are still seeing them.
yep, yeah, and I think I think many of these are fixed in the branches that I again messed up in the merging of a couple of pull requests together due to flow. So I think there are fixes for a number of these in the pipeline, but I need to get together with John Strunk and John McGinnis and Adrian to sort of work through making sure that I don't erase or break things when we go through our
Would
pipeline.
would you be able to go through any of the issues and tag the pull requests that solve them if they do? Because probably the
Yes.
first thing that I will be pointing Adrian to will be like working on these issues, and so I don't want to point him to things that have already been done.
So I think if the timing can work out, I'll do the Slack message after this to see if I can coordinate a time with John and Adrian on Wednesday to look at this, and then I will be able to do that right now I think I have a couple of branches that are in that have that each have some of these fixed, and I need to make sure that I've got the right pipeline in place to merge everything together peacefully.
Okay. I see John's hands up.
Yep.
Yes. So I actually we did not meet last week. So I didn't get a chance to ask about this, but the fourth 3135 rate limit exceeded. You mentioned that you're still seeing that.
3135 is a little bit farther down. Yes. I was just pointing that for Sean. Yes, I'm still seeing that.
Okay. So we went through and tried to find every instance where we're using the API that has. So we found that the search endpoint has a limit of 30 requests per minute, and it resets every minute. And so that is that's the rate limit that we were hitting. It's completely separate from the normal API rate limit, and there's like 5 of those. So
God.
No,
yeah,
there are, we've encountered every specific GitHub rate limit, and John's right. This is a distinct one, and every key has to be managed
well, that's
for
the
that
thing,
rate
though.
limit separately.
We fixed it, but she's still seeing it, which leads me to believe that there might be either somewhere else where we didn't realize that it was using a different rate limit. So if you have a stack trace for this, because the specific request that is in the stack trace that you initially provided has been fixed in
Okay.
the 3149. But so if there's a different place where it is being reported, then that will need to be something we need to know, like where in the code the exception is actually coming from.
I'm happy to share my screen really quick, and you can show me what the information that is useful, and we can go through one, and then I can update it with the information. But I can pull up my Flower instance, and we can just go through it's usually it's analyze commits. That's what is the exact
In parallel, I think.
Yeah.
Underscore in parallel.
And then
this one was import facade contributors rate limit exceeded.
It's the insert. Okay, and I get these two. I get mixed up all the time because they were coming out.
Yeah, they're both critical processes, so I can see that.
But again, I will say that it's much less. I wouldn't be surprised it becomes even a less big issue as we're finally getting some of these like large repositories finally up to like a full collection. Because I think those are the ones. Like I think it pretty much it's a niche problem to an extent that happens, but it still is happening. So you know that they're hitting something. But let's go through. We can go through each one of these.
I suspect the errors are almost
all. Are you seeing
usually
the error page?
Yes, I am. I'm seeing rate limit exception, suggesting it's not fixed in the version you're working on right now.
Let me see I need to see the line number.
And so that's which one where I guess that's what I'm trying to figure out right now is what is it in this that's useful, so then I can just copy and paste a bunch of them in the issue.
It is in this particular case, it's the first two traceback blocks.
It's actually the second one. I think that's our code, John, because it's the second one that gets to GitHub data access.
Well, so line 256 calls line 73 calls. Okay. So yes, that is where we call make requests with retries. That's the useful bit there, because that's everything after that is outside of our code.
We probably need to start we probably need to start hashing the API keys that get logged.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, actually, please.
Yeah.
I actually am going to say I will be.
So turn off that screen now.
Yeah. I'll.
So just copy the second block in the traceback is the most anything that says make retry or make request with retries No, that's the third. So if you scroll all the way up to the top, that's the first block. And then during handling of the above exception, another exception occurred. The second block is what we are
So
what we need to solve the
the
issue.
way, yeah, the way I process these blocks is I look for the reference to a file that's not part of a dependency. And that's where I start with what is the Augur part of this? Because it usually is an Augur part, right? It's usually not a Redis issue or a Celery issue in real life. It's probably something Augur is doing that Redis and Celery are wrapping that's causing the problem.
Yeah, I do think we should probably, for this recording, we should probably cut it off right before this.
Yep. I will make a note to Elizabeth not to post this so that I can go back myself and make sure that there are no keys shared in the recording.
So anyways,
Okay.
yeah, the second traceback block is just to go back to that's what we need. We need to see the specific line of code where we found the rate limit exceeded exception.
Okay, yep, I can go through and see if it's just all the same place. I'll probably go through that some point today. And John, and this kind of lands for any of the maintainers if y'all have any questions about the issues that I open, please ask. Happy to provide any additional context that's helpful to understanding especially now things have stabilized a lot of other places, so it's a lot easier for me to like see things at like a larger scale and things like that. For context, like we have probably like 200,000 tasks that have processed in the last like 2 days, and we probably have less than 200 errors, which if people remember a few months ago, that is pretty uncomprehendable. So we've come a long way.
All right.
Yes.
I just messaged, and we're at end of time here. Thank you, everybody. I did just message Elizabeth not to post this video until I have a chance to edit it and make sure there are no API keys displayed. So I think it's just smart. We don't want to invalidate API keys or screw things up. So, all right. Thank you, everybody. I will see you in Slack and online, and talk to everyone soon.
Yep.